Howdy everybody, this is Ethan Jensen with Bowen Valley Outdoors. This video has been in the making for numerous months now. It's already the new year 2023 and I am just now getting around to wrapping up this video. I am working to putting out some more content in the future, a little bit of changes as far as editing software and some more camera gear. You'll be seeing me throughout this video. I'm going to be walking you guys through what happened, because as I built this video, I kind of came to learn that I did a pretty piss poor job of filming everything that needs to be filmed, mostly talking to you guys as all the action happens. Regardless, I appreciate you guys checking out the video. Stick around and watch a bull hit the dirt.
Three, two, one.
I put a lot of salt when I said the chemicals, but I did a little bit of salt.
Some Mexican candy.
Made it home.
It is 5:55 a.m. Bailey decided to sleep in today, so I was gonna go alone, but the rat man got a hold of me before. Now he's gonna break his bow, stuffing shit in the truck.
Should have told her no.
She wants to sleep in on me. Then I'm responsible for the burrito. Update. We're headed up the hill. Basil is with us now.
This is a big forking horn.
Day two. Ethan gave me a pop shot and we're gonna find a deer today.
We're gonna kill the deer today?
Yes.
Big old buck, huh? Good.
It's Monday, 29th, day 3. We're up here right now, not with the parents. They're at work and we're about to go get some elk.
Some elk.
Or a buck.
Or buck. I like it. So throughout the course of deer season, we found many shooter bucks that I would have been pleased to be able to get my hands on. One deer in particular, to this day, still has me daydreaming. It's a deer that we believe we may have had some previous history with.
malfunction.
Walked up on a set and a single of brownies. Oh, you betcha, buddy.
Nice little pocket buck, dude.
Yeah. Cool little four. So as you can see, we like to get out and stretch our legs every spring, find some horns. It's awesome making the connection as to what the deer could look like the next year. You come back and hit the same areas, you find the same deer year after year, and you get to see the difference between their summer and their winter range. So shed hunting is very important to us. Today is January 15th, and I tell you what, I am stoked to get out and go find some horns this year. So on this particular day, I happened to find my best set that I found in 2022, and ultimately one of my favorites. So I kind of just threw this clip in because I already had it filmed and I want to toot my horn a little bit. Good buck, no doubt. That's what we're talking about right there, baby. So the single side that you are about to see picked up in the next video, we found almost exactly 6 miles from where the big buck that we found on the hill, and that would be fairly consistent with the way that mountain looks from the winter range in the lowlands to its summer range in the very top, would be about a 6 mile change for that deer to go up. Here's the deer's connection. We'll leave it up to you guys to let us know whether or not you think it's genes, same deer. Comment below, let us know.
Dude. Oh my god. This is my biggest horn I've ever found in my life. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh my god.
So on this, the big buck that we found in his summer range, on his left side he goes single, and he's got a split, and then he's got another split off of a 3-point main beam. On his other side, he goes split, split, and single. This horn that we found a few months prior is exactly that same type of build. It is a single, a split, and a split, although the sides would be flip-flopped. And as far as caliber of buck, the horn compared to the deer that we saw on the hill are very similar in size. Color, happen to be in the same range, so we kind of connected the dots. We'll leave it up to you guys, let us know. So Basil's first elk experience. This morning was awesome. We get up to the spot where we would normally start our mornings and glass down into the cuts of the hill from. And as we're looking, I don't remember that we turned up any deer that day right away, but almost instantly it's like, well, there's a bull elk standing down there in the bottom of the... So we get to looking some more, trying to find some cows, figure out what's going on, as we know the rut wasn't really in full swing based off of what everybody's told us and what we've seen. It seemed like they weren't really interested in too many cows. So we seen the lone bull, and as we're looking some more, about a third of the way closer to us, there is another raghorn 5-point bull, and he is cutting the side of the hill headed towards the little finger of timber that runs up beside us so he could clear the top. So we kind of put together a game plan of what we might be able to do, and we decided, let's see where he goes. We could intersect him if he heads for the top, but if we can put him to bed in the timber, then we might be able to drop in, get an arrow in him. So this bull made it to the bottom of the finger before he starts headed for the top of the ridge, where he kegged up. He found a shady spot. He decided this is good enough for me, and he laid down facing dead away from us. So me, Basil, and my parents made a game plan as to how we were going to get Bailey on this bull. We decided that dropping down in, using like a little roll as cover to be able to get within range, and then moving slow up over the roll, easing through until we could find the bull to be able to get an arrow in him, was going to work out great. And everything followed as planned. We dropped down, we found a snag from where we were sitting up top. We make it to that snag, that bull's probably 100 yards up over as a line draws. So we almost made it to that snag, and we're really starting to quiet and settle down, slow down, and try to pick out what we're doing. And as I'm watching my feet, trying to move slow, I look up, and the bull is right there, 80 yards, facing dead in our direction, but hasn't seen us yet. We instantly hit the ground. We're laying down. This is the one time that I'm thankful for the West Spring, because there's 3-4 foot of grass there. The bull decided to stand up, come down out across in front of us again, almost backtracking, and that he was going to continue coming up and come up the middle bare face of the hill. And he's trotting out across, closing a little bit more distance, a little bit more as he comes across, and he starts picking up his pace. He starts running. So I attempt to cow call. The bull stops, says, "What was that noise?" And I'm telling Bailey, "Draw, stand up and draw." And at this point, the bull kind of had us pinned down, and although she did get her bow back, the rise that was just over in front of us, as you can see in the video, was too big for her to be able to see the bull, just the top of his head. As I told her to stand up to try to get a clear shot, the bull decided to wheel and take off, in which I decided to try to cow call again with a broken split reed in my cow call. So, parents, cover your ears, kids. That made no sense.
Your fucking mouth reads a pile of dog shit.
Friday morning, we just showed up in town. It was our first morning hunting, and we had no idea what this morning had in store for us. We had a run-in with a bull that is normally a bigger caliber bull than what we are used to seeing where we elk hunt. Now this bull we saw from the very beginning of the morning, working up with a group of cows. And at some point, something happened that made him decide we're going to take off this trail that we would normally run and go way out and around to get to where we're going. After seeing this bull in the morning, we decided we need to make a play. We need to make something happen. So we cut way out and around and intercepted the bull and his cows in another thicket, probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles away. If you've ever tried to foot race with an elk, it's not easy to do. So the squirrel sounding high-pitched, fast chirping that you're hearing is the bull calling back to us as we're cow calling. So the single high-pitched sounds going ew, 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 that's us cow calling back to the bull. Now this video I had to speed up just for time's sake. For 15 or 20 minutes we're cow calling to this bull within probably 150 yards, give or take. And he already has his cows bedded in this thicket, so he's just cutting back and forth, deciding whether he wanted to leave his cows, whether he wanted to come to us, trying to figure out what he was going to do. There was another bull further up the hill behind us bugling the entire time. So I would assume in his head, he hears this other bull firing, he hears cows closer than that. He is a little worried that this bull he hasn't seen yet is going to take his cows. But we finally got the bull to commit. So after a seemingly never-ending battle trying to get this bull to come in, on a dime he puts a foot in the ground, starts working right for us. I really wanted to put an arrow in this bull, but I have killed elk before with my bow. Basil has not. So I put her front and center, told her, you're going to kill this bull. Basil's a little smaller than I am. She can't hold her bow drawn for near as long as I can. So while we didn't know when the bull was going to come in, and he turns and comes straight to us like that through a wide open space, looking in our direction, it was very hard for us to find a time for her to draw her bow. Through some of those tree where he came with a tree in between us and him, he was within 30 yards walking behind those trees, coming into 15 yards by the time he cleared them. Would you have had her force to try to draw her bow? In our eyes, we didn't want to ruin it, so we were going to wait for a better opportunity, or for the bull behind us to fire off, so his attention would be directed away from what he thought was a cow. The wind, as we're sitting here, Bailey's beside me, the wind is blowing from right to left across us. For whatever reason, this bull came in and went directly downwind of us and circled around and is now 8 yards downwind from us. Holy hell. After meeting up with Alan, shortly after taking this film, I remember looking at him and saying, I just filmed the best video I've ever taken in my life. By this point in the video, I'm beginning to get very nervous about what we should do. He doesn't know quite what we are. He knows something's going on. He's at 6 yards away from us, and we are out of draw windows. We're out of opportunities. Like, we are banking on the bull behind us to make some noise so we can get one of our bows back to get an arrow in this thing. So, for those of you who don't know, any animal in the animal kingdom, anything that's considered a prey animal, whether it be rabbits, elk, deer, the list goes on, they are fixed with outer-facing eyes to where they can see anything from their side. Their view is much greater. So as this bull's head is down, we are I'm consciously thinking, like, are we going to be able to get away with drawing? I mean, we can see the color in this bull's eyes. And with that field of view that they have, it's pretty nerve-wracking because you don't want to screw up a situation like that. And obviously you don't know until after the fact what the right decision may or may not have been, how it was going to play out. But by this point, he is starting to work into that danger zone of where the wind is consistently going. So we got to make something happen before we get busted anyway. This bull either heard me, which if he did, it was kind of a late reaction. What I believe happened was that the second Bailey, she didn't even get to draw. She had her bow down, and as soon as she brought her bow up and started to draw, that bull, his head snapped, he turned and was locked in on us. At 6 yards or 5 yards, however close he was when he was in front of us, he is laser focused. Eyes on us, we're trying to look, keep our heads down, try not to make eye contact with it. This bull stays like that. I couldn't even tell you the time. It seemed way longer than it was. It was way too long for comfort. So by this point, as I mentioned before, it's got to happen before we get winded. Thankfully, the bull put his head back down, although at this point, for lack of better words, he was subconsciously aware that something was going on. He was trying to keep an eye on us, but still working, trying to do his thing. Maybe had a slight glimpse of hope that we were cows, or whatever the noise he was hearing, he hasn't seen yet. Things are starting to get a little dicey. So by this point, I mean, you got hands on your head. In 2 words, we were heartbroken and exhilarated.
First. The left titty.
Yeah.
Right there at the bottom of that.
Breaking news. The elk are coming fast. Good thing we were half set up. Back to you, Sushi. So, as you guys saw, the elk were coming fast. As the group was moving up, the first satellite spike that we laid eyes on came up from the left-hand side, which was just downslope of us, and worked into the timber and disappeared. So our attention was kind of facing down the slope on that lower end, and as our focus is turned down here, we catch movement out of the right side of our view, and there's a bull standing in the wide open, another spike, probably 60-70 yards out. We had Bailey's dad, Mike, set up behind us, probably 40 yards, and he was making a little bit of noise as we knew the elk were coming. Yet again, we find ourselves arrow knocked, bow not drawn. We're caught in the wide open.
now.
So this is where I made my mistake. As Bailey's sitting to my right and our attention is focused on the bull that's, by this point, no less than 30 yards in front of us, my eyes started to drift, and the bull that we initially saw on the left-hand side snuck straight down the slope from us and was facing downhill.
Bailey to the left behind us. Bailey right here.
So as I said before, our attention was focused on the bull working towards us. With Bailey on this side of me, she was entirely unaware of the bull that snuck down below us. In my mind, I told her, draw your bow, swing to the left, and shoot the bull that's facing downhill 20 yards away. She had no idea that bull was there. So as she draws her bow, this bull does turn and wheel. She has no idea what bull I'm talking about down below us. So she was kind of stuck in the middle, unsure of what to do. So it is the last day. We have 7 people hunting with us with unpunched tags. We had a lot of holes to fill, but it's kind of daunting knowing that we have one more day and nobody's killed an elk yet. As the sun came up, we started looking for bulls, mostly listening to the elk on the bottom. There were elk everywhere, and they were fired up. As we're watching them come up, first thing in the morning, there were 2 notable groups of elk moving out of the fields headed up for us. The big bunch was in front of me and Bailey, and there was a separate group, maybe 20 or 25 cows with 1 herd bull. We were up first. The big bunch was strung out and headed for us quick. The first bulls to come through were satellite bulls.
He's looking this way really hard. That's a really big 5. I know.
So not long after the last video, the next film you're about to see was taken. The bulls almost skirted from the bottom. They came up and they skirted out in front of us. Our goal was to try to, as they moved across, get in line with them, because eventually they would have to turn up to get up behind us. And they were closing the distance fast, so we just picked a spot where we thought it might happen and set up. Listen to that girl run the Easy Sucker by Phelps. So as you guys can see, the first bull just came and went by us. We were unsure if they had caught scent of us. We're just uninterested. What might have happened to cause them, you know, you can see in the video they just turn and look at us. With the elk acting as ruddy as they were, the satellites should have been primed to be able to call in and work. We had these bulls within 100 yards and they gave us no more attention than just a head turn and continue down their path. I'm unsure, again, if they caught our scent or if they were worried about another bull. It just doesn't make sense. And then just like that, the bulls came and they continued without giving us a chance. We had no time to waste. The rest of the group was walking in their same footsteps coming down the trail, skirting out ahead of us and cutting up the trail. So we just moved forward to where the satellite bulls came through, hoping that the big group would fall on their foot tracks. Son of a... The first cow came through with her head high, nose up in the air. We decided to drop our packs as after the last two bulls came through and set up in their tracks as they were headed up, hoping that the big group would walk straight to us. As we set up in that spot, the big group came through and walked directly towards our packs where we just left. And just like that, our last day luck was fading. Our hopes were down, to say the least. We believe that they could have gotten close enough to smell our packs. We had an uphill wind, so we don't know how they would have smelled us. That lead cow got too far ahead, got high-headed, peeled out. They went down where they came from.
Holy sh**.
The bull that you saw in the last clip, we're still unsure, but it very well could be the bull that he had in front of him at this point. I gave Alan a ring, told him what happened. He still informed me that there were elk in front of him and that I needed to get down so that we could make a plan as to how I was going to help him essentially kill one of these bulls.
Where are they going? Are you recording?
I am now.
Follow them.
See that bull in the back?
Yep. They're not going the right way, are they?
I don't know.
They didn't take long.
They stopped, they're looking.
No, you're okay.
So after meeting up with Keith down in the bottom, I decided that I was going to cut all the way up and around. There was that bull with about 20 cows bedded just off the top of a ridge. That I was going to sneak around, try to bump them out the way where Alan was set up all the way in the back. It's a long shot. Who knows if anything's going to work, but it's the last day and we got to make something happen.
Is one stuck in the fence?
So as you can see, phase one, which was me trying to sneak in and get an arrow in the bull while he was bedded with all the cows, didn't work. The group dropped a little bit of elevation, started out across the hill, and was actually headed in the right direction.
The bull's down below them. They're all running out here and he's still back by the fence.
So by this point, the elk balled up on the side of the hill. They were entirely confused with what was going on. I kicked them out of their bed. They spent a lot of time looking back towards me. I don't think they entirely knew what I was, but they knew there was a presence there. They are still in line, headed the right direction for Alan as long as they can make up their mind.
They're all balled up. Look, you can see the bull really well.
Yep.
Got them all zoomed in.
Oh, he's taking him this way.
That bull would not let these elk go anywhere. They circled around, the bull circled around the group of cows for over 50 minutes. They covered maybe 40 yards in 50 minutes. He wouldn't let them go anywhere. So by this point, I am still in the general area in which I kicked the elk out of initially. And I'm watching, and it's almost like a baseball field view. I found Alan pretty early off as to where he was set up. I could see him, and he was a long ways away, but I could make him out under the tree that he was sitting under. And it was like a baseball field view. The elk are a little closer, and he's out. What I couldn't see is that from him to the elk, there's a little roll in the hill. So this entire time after they dropped down, lost that little bit of elevation, he hasn't been able to see the elk at all.
I guess this way, or it is over here, like another bluff like this that you could set up on. And
I just don't know, like, I feel like they're so unsure of what they're doing.
So after a seemingly never-ending wait, the bull finally let the cows kind of line out, and they headed right for Alan. I don't believe at this point, just based on his body posture and how he was acting, that he could still see that he could see the elk. And I know that the girls by this point definitely didn't know where Alan was. As I mentioned before, it was baseball view, so it seemed like the elk were right up beside him as they started to move. Yet I was the only one, I'm sure along with Keith, who could actually see what was going on.
Oh shit, Tab. Tab, that tree that is above the bowl, Alan is underneath of that. I thought he was further up.
After shooting all this film and meeting back up with Alan, he told me that by this point he was extremely worried that he was going to be able to draw. The entire group is in front of him in the wide open. That cow that you see in front of the bull, it was outlining the bull's vitals. So even if he did manage to get drawn, he wouldn't have a shot. Things were getting dicey and they were in the wide open. By this point in the video, the bull is about 60 yards away from Alan. Prior to the elk showing up, he ranged a bunch of different objects in front of him. The bush that he ranged, where the bull was basically standing over the top of in the film, is 60 yards from him. At this point, there are 5 people watching all of this happen at the same time from all different angles through the binos. He pulls a trigger, everything blows apart and elk are everywhere. Shortly after the bulls came off the hill a little bit, we're all watching, and we begin to wonder if Alan even hit the elk. We don't see blood anywhere on either shoulder. The elk are already scattered, so we're indecisive as to if we need to try to cut this bull off. If he's hit, we don't really know what's going on. I'm still sitting back where I kicked the group initially out of, clear up in the top, and my phone vibrates, pulled out of my pocket. I get a text from Alan, and he said, "Bull's going down." Does that mean the bull's headed down the hill? Because I know. Or has he got an arrow in it? I'm still confused.
Hello? Hi. I know, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, actually. I got him running away, like actually kept track of him. I'll zoom in really tight. He's going down the hill right now. But I'm in pretty tight. It doesn't look like... let me look up. Camera's all shaky. We might, actually. They're running like directly at us. Where are they at? So they're going down. Is there a thicket in between Alan and us? Yeah, they are. Do you think they'll go up the hill? Should I dump off and try to get up this next hill? I'm facing the elk. Yeah.
I call up Alan, and he informs me that he had shot the bull in the neck. After calling Bailey and talking to her about what happened, I told them to hang tight, continue watching and filming the bull. Alan thinks that the elk is going to go down. He said after they hit that fence you saw in the video that he could see blood dripping clearly out of the bull's neck. He's bleeding pretty good. For a lot of the guys on the east side of the states, 60 yards is a poke, and in a lot of people's eyes it's almost an unethical shot. Alan is experienced at this range. I've watched him put a lot of arrows within a fist-sized ball at 60 yards. Dude's dialed.
You're on the money.
So by this point, the bull is acting hit. Bailey zoomed in, on the elk, and he seemed like he was moving pretty slow, kind of lethargic, and he actually split off from the group and started heading for what we assumed he was going for cover. If you look close enough in the video, you can actually see the bull bleeding out of the front side of his neck up in here.
Call Ethan. Yeah, he just laid down. I zoomed in. He's just dripping blood out of his neck. Yeah.
So by this point, the bull is bleeding pretty well, and we can all see that. He's bedded down underneath that juniper tree. It's tough as an archery hunter because you're always hoping for the best outcome, a quick and efficient death. And that is not always the case. You know, your worst shot in practice is going to be what happens in the field. I've seen Alan shoot many bulls many times over many years. He does a great job. And essentially did put this bull out in a fairly quick manner.
I thought for sure he'd just sit there and you'd beat that blood away. Could you see in that video?
Yeah.
Extreme.
So fast forward about 2 hours later, the bull hasn't moved his head, he hasn't picked it up and lifted it anymore. I drop down off the top of the hill and I meet Keith back down in the bottom. We buzz up the road and we link up with the girls who have been sitting and watching the elk from their position.
It's a nice 6.
It's a good 6 point, yeah. Well, they found a deer horn. That sucker died on top of a deer shed. Not directly on top. Almost. Right beside where that bull hit the ground, there's a deer shed laying there. Joe and Courtney are kicking our ass on the deer horns.
Another deer horn.
You did?
They did.
Did you shoot him?
Oh no, I don't think he did. He just stuck his hands in his bow up in the air.
Yeah.
We finally get to watch him put hands on this bull. Someone broke the curse.
You see it? His head and everything?
Hey, if you guys stuck around to the end of the video, big double thumbs up to you. I appreciate the support. As I said before, we got some big changes coming into play as far as camera gear and some editing software. Big thank you to my folks for giving us a place to stay, helping out with some fuel, even if we didn't ask for it. Shout out to my brother Chase Jensen for hooking us up with some beats for this video. It's been months in the making. We are working on some red meat right now, and you should too. We'll catch you guys on the next.